ABM, or account-based marketing, is an effective practice in B2B to directly target key individuals with major accounts. However, it's also a practice that few companies fully master. To assist you, welcome to the ABM Experience podcast, the first French-speaking podcast dedicated to IBM and B2B marketing, brought to you by Winbond Agency. And today, as you have probably guessed, we're going to have a special episode in English.
If we look at specific account, how likely that account will become a sales opportunity during the pilot program, right? And there are several criteria that we pay attention to, right? What is the revenue potential of that account? So basically, are we hunting antelope or field mouse, right? That's essential.
Hello everyone and welcome to this 17th episode of ABM Experience. Today we are diving into a compelling success story featuring our guest, Andrzej Zinkiewicz. Andrzej is the co-founder of FullFunnel.io, an agency dedicated to training and guiding B2B marketing operations and sales teams in connecting, engaging, and securing deals with their target accounts. As the host of the Full Funnel Marketing Podcast, Andrzej brings a wealth of knowledge and insights into ABM that is eager to share with us. This episode marks a special milestone as it's our first one in English, expanding our horizons and inviting a broader audience to the ABM conversation. Let's dive in. Hello, Andrzej, and welcome to the ABM Experience podcast, where we delve into the nuances of account-based marketing, sharing insightful practices and tips. Thank you for joining me. How are you today?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Greetings from sunny Spain. Happy to chat with you all things account-based marketing.
Cool, perfect. So very happy to chat with you today, Andrzej. Just to kick things off, why do you believe it is important for companies to deepen their understanding of account-based marketing, because not everyone knows about ABM?
Yeah, absolutely. There are several reasons. I would start with the first thing, that ABM is not a silver bullet and not every company should run this motion. But at the same time, if you have long sales cycle, if you sell an expensive product, right? Expensive, I mean, let's say starting from 30K. If you have a consultative approach, right, it's not just a transactional sale, so people come, and buy your product. You need to have several conversations with your potential buyers. Then account-based marketing would be a good fit, right? It's completely opposite to selling, let's say, Netflix subscription or $5 CRM. That's the first thing. The second one, which basically I would love to highlight why account-based marketing is important, right? Simply because of the complexity of your business, right? You just can't replicate tactics from Dropbox, Airbnb, or the tactics that you have heard from B2C, right? You can't just run ads and set up, automated outbound and expect a full pipeline of sales opportunities. You need to take a more smart approach. You need to define the accounts that are likely to become sales opportunities. You need to do a homework, account research, and buying committee research, understand the challenges, understand how your product solves these challenges, and then coming up with personalized solutions, right? And that's the essence of account-based marketing. So if your company belongs to that camp, that would be an ideal strategy for you.
Yeah, so you work a lot in ABM, and recently you published a case study involving a client in the technology sector. Could you guide us through all the phases of launching this ABM program specifically? Like how did it happen?
Absolutely. So first of all, let's agree on one thing. The program that I would present, it's not the entire ABM strategy. It's just one of the playbooks, right, that you can apply, because there are multiple playbooks that are that basically dependent on your ideal customer profile and the way how they buy, their buyer journey, right? So in this specific case, like you said, it's a technology company that is selling video streaming solutions to popular broadcasters, like basically all the channels, live channels that we are watching, sport, right, broadcasts, etc. They are the customers of our client. Now, to give you an idea and the goal of our campaign, right? So first of all, historically, our clients generated lots of sales opportunities on two major world conferences. One is happening in the United States and one is happening in Europe, right? It's called NASP show. So a lot of meetings are happening there because of the complexity of their sales. They usually sell to technical buyers, right? This, as you guess, these people are not active on LinkedIn. These are not marketers. These are not sales reps that are, these are not consultants that are hanging out on LinkedIn all the day long, right? The first complexity here is to understand how can we warm up these people? How can we connect with them? How can we engage? How can we understand the product needs? Next, considering the fact that they are going to this event, how can we ensure that we are meeting with most of our strategic accounts, right? So how can we establish these meetings? Now, the second goal here is we are fully aware of that not all these meetings, or let's say not all of the accounts we are going to meet, they are in market. They have let's say they have a challenge how our product solves and they prioritize that they're likely to buy our solution, right? So for us, it's essential to kind of, first of all, validate product need evidence, right? And if there is a strong product need evidence, that's one story. So we can proceed with more, let's say, sales conversation, right? Talking about their own challenges and how our product can help. If there is a challenge, but they didn't prioritize it, so they are not in market, they are not going to buy, how can we stay in touch and nurture these accounts? So that's kind of the context, right?
Okay.
Basically, we selected several activities that we wanted to kind of run to achieve these goals, right? And maybe just a quick teaser. Out of that program, and the length of the program was 3 months, right? If somebody is interested in timeline. So we were able to generate 5 new sales opportunities. There was 1 re-engaged sales opportunity. Re-engaged, that was stolen, right, in pipeline. So it was unresponsive for a long time. And then we were able to re-engage this opportunity. And total value of all of these opportunities was $375K. Right? So let's break down the core steps. The first thing is that what we did is we ran customer research and buyer journey exercise to identify, first of all, what are the main channels our buyers use, not only when they're looking for the solutions, right? Mm-hmm. But to learn, to get professional information. Because for us, that could be a first step, a first channel where can we attract attention, right? In reality, we can't sell to accounts in this specific space. We can't sell to accounts that are not vendor aware, right? So first of all, we need to create that awareness. When we did several interviews, right, with the clients, we also wanted to chat with a few strategic accounts. So we decided to kind of run a mini market research. We wanted to make it valuable for the entire video streaming vertical. So we made a brief of 5 questions that we want to ask these accounts. And partially one of the questions was about their buyer journey and channels they use, right? Next, we used LinkedIn as the first channel to connect with them. And despite the fact I mentioned in the beginning that these people are not super active on LinkedIn, but there are a few good things about it. So first of all, in most cases, these people are attacked by SDRs, with sales pitches. Hey, I saw you VP of video streaming, VP of engineering, you name it, right? Is it worth to have 20 minutes? I will show you my product. Let's keep it simple, right? So whenever you start doing meaningful engagement, that already differentiates you. So what we applied, we started to look for the announcements of these accounts, right? Especially related to our technology, maybe major events. So for example, in the United States, football, right? And it's completely different from Europe, right? In Europe, we call football soccer, right? But these are 2 different sports. So football, that was how it's called Super Bowl, if I pronounce it right. So the final rounds of the football American Championship, right? So obviously, there would be a lot of people watching it, right? For broadcasters, it's essential to have a good video streaming, right? So we use this as an opportunity to talk about the quality, right? Sharing these insights, etc. So that's the first thing, right? The second one, we were connecting with these people, tagging them in the posts, reaching out saying, hey, I saw you guys will be streaming this. How do you deal with this and that? Would you like to participate in our market research, right? So there were no pitches. Now, the second thing is that a lot of people, they would ignore you in the beginning. But if you continue doing this, that would be absolutely, it's just a question of time and you'll be able to build that trust. So for that specific reason, we also optimized our LinkedIn profiles. There were no sales pitches. What we put is the positioning of our product, let's say, not the benefits, but challenges this product helps. So if you look at the about section of the ABM team, right, it was all about this. And we started to post a lot of this educational content. They had a network of current buyers who were kind of engaged that helped to, gain credibility for that content. We also installed manual content distribution. So if these people were not engaging, then one of the account executives that was involved into the program, he was manually distributing that content and saying, hey guys, what do you think about this? Is it kind of, for example, we have spoken to, let's say, 5 VPs of engineering, and they mentioned this and that, right? Do you see the same trends, right? By the way, here is a link to the small report, right, or summary of these conversations. So it was all about this. Next, we started to talk closer to the event. We start posting about the talks that we are going to attend. I mean, when we say we, our client, right?
You were mentioning you're trying to target the right people to talk to. Could you just mention a little bit, how do you define the ICP, the ideal customer profile for this specific client? Like what criteria did you use exactly?
So ideal customer profile, I would give you, I can't unfortunately tell you the very specific information.
Or just the process you used?
Yeah, but when it comes to the process, so there are a few things, right? First of all, the first step that we took, we analyzed the historical growth in different segments, right? Because they were not selling only to video streaming. There are like 5 core segments that are buying their products. So we saw that in video streaming, they have faster sales cycle and higher ACV, average contract value. So and they had quite a lot of happy customers, right? Customers that stayed for a long time with them, who provided, case studies, etc. So we decided to focus on this. Next step in ICP development is define several parameters. So first of all, you analyze top 5 deals by total revenue and top 5 fastest deals, right? Mm-hmm. And next you see the commonalities between these accounts. So what do they have in common? What makes these accounts good fit, right? So for example, they had this specific challenge. They are actively hiring for these specific roles. This is the product need evidence, right? So they have this specific legacy system. And in this case, it kind of creates problems and our product solves this. At the same time, we analyze top 5 if I don't have top 5, we analyze simply 5 recent lost deals from that segment, right? And then we see commonalities between these accounts, right? Why we're not able to sell them? Because maybe they have a specific integration request and we don't have this integration, right? Okay. So based on these parameters, we define firmographics criteria, account qualification, and account disqualification. Lastly, there is one more important part, right? We are not selling to companies. We are selling to people inside. And for us, it's essential to understand who are the buying committee members. And that answers your question, how did we know who to target, right? Mm-hmm. So for you, the goal is to do 2 things. The first one is to analyze all the available communication with these clients, right? Top 5 deals by revenue and top 5 fastest deals. So who was in copies? Who first booked a call with you, right? Who, whenever your champion was replying to you or your main contact was replying to you, who they added to copy, right? CC. So if you analyze all the meetings, right, you can check calendar invites, who attended this meeting. So you can enrich, if you don't have fully enriched information in your CRM, then you can simply go to LinkedIn and collect the information. What are the roles of these people, right? So for you, then you need to define 3 categories of people. Champions, these are people who introduced to the organization, who basically you solve their main challenge. then the decision makers, people whose budget pay for your solution, right? And mostly they just approve your solution. They need to have enough arguments. They need to have a strong business case. Why should we buy that product? What's on the business level, what it will help us. And lastly, you have power users, people who will use your technology on a daily basis, right? So basically, then you start mapping out, okay, our champion buying roles, okay, VP of engineering, for example, right? Typically. And you do this for these top 10 clients and you'll be able to define the right roles.
And so in your case studies, you said that you were able to generate $375,000 on this pilot. That's a lot of money for a pilot. What's the rationale behind it? What are the key factors that contributed to generating that much money from your IBM pilot?
So as I said, first of all, there was a clearly defined ICP. Next, the engagement, right, which I was mentioning. So we did a lot of engagement and there was a cadence. So if people didn't reply on LinkedIn, we defined after we were running several customer research interviews, we defined several Slack communities where these people are quite active. So we're going there, and then in Slack, we try to search if there is a specific person, right? So for example, you go to Slack and then you search for Andrei Zinkevich. If we were able to identify this person, we were sending follow-up messages there. And in some cases, we also follow up by email, right? Inviting them to collaborate or distribute that content and ask their feedback. So to ensure this activity. Now, the question that you might be wondering about, but what if I have like 500 accounts, right? The goal is to prioritize your efforts. You can't reach out to all 500 accounts. We always prioritize for the pilot program accounts. We apply. Let's say this is kind of custom definition it not existed, what we use internally. We call it opportunity likelihood assessment, which means if we look at specific account, how likely that account will become a sales opportunity during the pilot program, right? And there are several criteria that we pay attention to, right? What is the revenue potential of that account? So basically, are we hunting antelope or field mouse, right? That's essential. The second one, do we have a good relationship inside? By good relationship, I mean that we can send a message or send a mail and expect a reply. I'm not saying the cold templated pitch, but basically you have some level of engagement. Next, is this account vendor aware? And if they demonstrated any signals, let's say any buying signals, maybe they were visiting your pricing page on the website, right? Maybe they signed up for a demo. Maybe they signed up for product-related webinar, right? These patterns. And lastly, product need evidence. Like I said in the beginning, for example, they have a legacy technology, right? Which creates a lot of problems. They are hiring for specific roles to kind of deal with that legacy technology. That's kind of consequence. Instead of basically replacing it with the modern solutions, right? So these are the main things. And basically we apply this criteria to identify there were probably around 35 accounts that fit all of these criteria where the likelihood of creating opportunity was really high, right? So we were focusing and engaging with them.
And so how many people were involved on the client side for that? Because like launching an ABM project could take a lot of time, a lot of energy. So how many people did you work with?
3 people.
3 people for that whole campaign?
Yes. Account executive and RevOps manager who was tracking all the data, basically doing all this necessary qualification, right? Whenever we were able to identify a new account, she was going through the qualification process, segmentation, applying all of this criteria that I just mentioned above, right? Storing them in account card in CRM. And then those 2 people were doing the necessary engagement.
And I remember on the case study, you said you spend at least 1 hour a day on LinkedIn. Could you just explain me why did you do that and what did you do during this time? And why was it important on the success or on your ABM campaign?
Yeah, basically that we say 1 hour a day, right? It could be more, it could be, it shouldn't be less, because if you don't allocate enough time to run ABM, then usually a lot of teams would just keep the most essential steps that we have discussed. And what they would do is just, programmatic display ads and automated outbound on steroids. And we'll call it ABM, but it's not account-based marketing. So what we did, we had 3 core activities, right? Activity number 1, publish that content, and that content was aligned with the customer research. So we knew their challenges, and this content was all about educating them on how to solve these challenges. Also talking, let's say, if we'll use marketing jargon, right? So there was top of the funnel content about these industry events, news, trends, etc. Mm-hmm. Next, we did what we call thoughtful commenting. Thoughtful commenting, so we were visiting the profiles of the buying committee members of these 35 target accounts, right? And regularly adding value to the threads that they had. We didn't come and say, hey, what a fantastic post, and like how people like to post it on LinkedIn, wow, mind blown, etc. But no, it was exactly, adding your expertise point of view, asking additional questions, etc. Right? The key goal here, basically, there are 2 key goals. First of all, we use these comments as a content repository, because if you already wrote a good comment, you can easily repurpose it into a good post. And second one is proceed and move conversation from LinkedIn comments section to inbox, right? And that's fantastic opportunity. For example, I would be reaching out to you and saying, hey, Julian, we had a fantastic convo in comments, would like to move it to our inbox and ask a few more questions. You see? So that's the goal. And next one is continue and growing your audience, because there are several channels of influence, right? Your people, let's say your target buyers, they might not be aware of you, or they might not be replying to you, but at the same time, they're following some micro-thought leaders, right? I'm not talking about, people with hundreds of thousands followers, but in every market, you have this micro-thought leaders who create the industry content, and they're following and learning from them, right? So for you, it's essential to engage with these people as well. Why? Because your target accounts are following them, right? That's the lowest hanging fruit. You can you can show up in their newsfeed because of that commenting, right? They can see your comments, and they would be recognizing you whenever you'll be reaching out, right? That's the first thing. The same with partners, right? You might have non-competing partners that are selling to the same audience, right? So you can continue engagement with them. And ultimately, you need to maintain thought leadership ads. So the best performing content, right, that resonated with your target accounts, the lowest hanging fruit is to have this guaranteed distribution. So you literally boost it to the list of your target accounts and target roles.
And so looking back, what would you do differently if you were to repeat this ABM program? Anything you might want to change?
No, in that program, I won't change anything. I would just, if I knew, let's say, the results that it will print, I would just simply ask stakeholders of the company to give ABM team even more time so they could generate even more opportunities. The problem is that there was also, the same team was in charge of event preparation, and they needed to fly from Europe to United States to that conference, prepare the conference tent. So doing a lot of things, right? And that took in parallel, that took a lot of time while maintaining other responsibilities.
And so what advice would you give to our listeners? What advice would you give to companies looking to implement a similar ABM strategy, specifically in terms of, team composition, resource allocation, people you want to work with? What would be your best advice for all of us?
So first of all, you need to apply the pilot program mindset, which means that you start a small scoped program with limited resources, right? We call it 1-1-1-1-1-10. It means that you need to focus on one market, one vertical. You need to involve just one marketer, one SDR, and have maximum 10 accounts in the beginning, right? If you have, if you are just starting out, if you have done this for years, right, you have a lot of background of doing these programs, you can extend. Like in our case, there were 35 accounts, right? But if you're doing this for the first time, I highly recommend to stick to 10 accounts, but do everything properly, right? So narrow down your focus to a specific ICP. Next, run customer research to identify buying journey. And also based on this, you can define content that nurtures these accounts, right? Like we discussed, you can analyze your sales pipeline velocity, your revenue metrics, right, across markets and verticals. And then when you define a specific segment you want to focus on, you extract top 5 deals by total revenue and top 5 fastest deals, right? And based on them, you develop your ideal customer profile. Next, you need to have this dedicated pilot team. Like you asked me, why 1 hour? But that's a bare minimum, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just, if you ask somebody, okay, you have 1 hour a week, right? But I expect from you a full pipeline. No, it will be just a distraction for that team, right? They won't be able to do any meaningful activity. And next step, you need to define this, let's say you need to create your own opportunity likelihood assessment, right? What approach can you take to identify accounts that are likely to become sales opportunities this quarter, so your pilot team would be focusing on them? As I mentioned, by default, we pay attention to 4 groups of criteria, right? Revenue potential, level of relationship, level of vendor awareness, and product need evidence signals.
Thank you so much, Andrei. Thank you for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. So as the co-founder of fullfunnel.io, your expertise in ABM is absolutely inspiring. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Before we wrap up, here are 3 key takeaways. Number 1, success in ABM hinges on the precise definition and understanding of the ideal customer profile, or ICP. Concentrating effort on a specific ICP ensures that marketing and sales activities are highly targeted and relevant, leading to better engagement and conversion rates. Number 2, conducting research to map out buyer journeys and create tailored content is crucial. This approach ensures that the content resonates with the target accounts at the various stages of their buying journey, effectively nurturing and moving them closer to a sale. Number 3, the formation of a dedicated pilot team consisting of at least 1 marketer and 1 salesperson is essential for ABM success. This collaboration facilitates a unified strategy and execution plan, ensuring that both marketing and sales are aligned in their efforts to engage and convert target accounts. And that brings us to the end of our 17th episode, which highlighted the ABM success story of fullfunnel.io. Stay tuned for our next episode. You want to know more about ABM? Subscribe to our ABM Experience newsletter at abmexperience.fr. Thank you for your support.